Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you're doing well on this fine Wednesday, December 13th, and that you are well within the holiday spirit or cheer, seasonal joy. If we're not necessarily on holiday vibes, I can understand. But I hope you're catching the seasonal joy that is in the air, not the chaos, not, because there's that too. Sometimes I just tend to stay on the joy side and the peace and goodwill, but there's the other side that definitely can be chaotic when you're stressed out trying to buy gifts and tearing stores apart and, don't do it to yourself this year. Don't do it. Save yourself the aggravation. Get thoughtful gifts. Think about what you got last year, especially if you got kids like me. I have one. Think about what you got last year, what really got played with, what you broke your neck to get versus what actually was paid any mind past Christmas. And consider what your kids would really like to have, not just filling up the tree, for your own self-satisfaction to say, Mommy did it. You know what I mean? That's where I am this year. My list has been condensed a great deal, and there's some room for, adding a thing or two here or there if the spirit moves me. But for the most part, I really subdued my ambitions this year to really consider that most of the big items that I bought, my son wasn't even interested. I literally ended up giving it away not long after Christmas, so, and I was so excited to have them there, like, yay, he wanted this so much, and Christmas was amazing, and he loved it, you know what I mean? I'll say, not to be unfair, maybe a month out, by the top of the new year, it was old news for some of the bigger things. It was some of the smaller things that, I didn't even really care much, about, like stuffed animals and stuff like that. Like, okay, I'll get it for you. That he still actually reaches for, so you know your kids, and be very wise, because we can stress ourselves out trying to do the most when I feel like there's a great deal of spiritual transmission to pass on about the true value of material things during this time, to really cultivate a spirit of gratitude for the things that you really desire to have and not just stuff, extra stuff for the sake of having stuff, And some of us adults do it too now, but I'm just speaking of it from the perspective of a mom and a kid, and me having come from the space where one Christmas I absolutely didn't have it, just a few Christmases ago, to last Christmas when I was much more blessed, particularly, and some Christmases in the past, of course, but last Christmas I was so excited because things were just looking so much brighter. And so I really went in terms of things that he asked for and he absolutely wanted, and I made sure that I got it, and then a few others too. And then this year it's like he really doesn't even have a list. He's not really asked for much at all, to be honest, except for he always asks for like practical stuff, like new underwear, you know what I mean? Like, cause his last size of underwear is starting to get a little snug from washing. So he's like, Mom, I really want some new underwear. Like last year was a robe, even particularly, like he always, which he still reaches for, still loves dearly. So, there's a few things I'm going to jump out the window and get that hasn't even been on his radar, but I know he would enjoy. But for the most part, we're going to enjoy the season of Christmas in a very balanced and harmonious way this year. At least that's the plan. Spirit flexes like it's been flexing, i.e. yesterday. Like I said, I hope you caught my 12-12 message that I won the lottery for $12. And the lady that was in my midst was winning like crazy, so spirit flex a certain way. who knows, but I really have more of an intention of creating experience now than accumulating things. Like I want to travel. I want to go do stuff, have memories that last longer than the toys and electronics and such that we buy, because most of that stuff, like I said, is here today, somewhere collecting dust in the corner tomorrow. All right, so anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see, my tea bag, which I'm just now looking at, says nature teaches us harmony. Okay. Definitely in line with what I'm saying, and to some degree, not to just overdo it, but to cultivate that spirit of harmony and balance, and being in the natural, organic expression of the season with the joy and the peace and the love and the giving and sharing and caring, kindness type of vibe. That is gift enough in its own, particularly in the world that we're living in today. So if there's a reciprocation, a gift exchange that gets to happen in that regard, that's more than half of the Christmas list right there, and nature definitely does teach us, even by ways of the ebbs and flows of the transits that we're experiencing right now with Mercury retrograde and what else we got? The moon was new yesterday in Sag, but it'll be, if it's not already in Capricorn, it'll be transiting into Capricorn soon. But we had the new moon in Sag just yesterday. Retrograde started today. I'm not prepared to talk about it, but I really don't know if I'm going to go in, quite honestly, in too much depth. It may just come up as a matter of fact throughout the messages and things like that. But we're in retrograde from now until January 1st, and then give it a few, a couple weeks post that to rev up again into its forward motion. And what else we got going on? Oh, we got Mars activated, in, what is it, Chiron? Or Chiron and Mars. Something about Mars is happening right now. I think Mars is in Jupiter. No, that can't be right. Mars is in Sag, I want to say, maybe. I may be off with that, but Mars is doing something special. I talked about it in my moon message. And what else? Neptune is direct in Pisces. That's a big deal right now. All the haze is dissipating, and we're seeing the revelation of life, ourselves, and our surroundings for exactly what it is. Yeah, so there's a lot. Like, nature is definitely doing its thing, particularly by way of the cosmic order. If you pay attention to what's going on in the celestials for sure and can relate to those expressions, then So, I'm preaching to the choir, but if not, if there's some unexplained energy that you're feeling, you may want to consider what transits we're in versus what reflects in your chart and how you may be affected, and just generally just take the cues from your natural surroundings, even if you don't want to get that deep. Like, our surroundings, as above, so below, as within, so without. We're always getting signs and synchronicities of what's working for us and what we may have an opportunity to shift or make adjustments for. So even in that regard, just being aware of self and surroundings is enough to, cultivate harmony in your life, or recognize where there's an opportunity to do so. All right, so enough of that. Oh my gosh, I can't stop talking. Okay, King of Cups, while I take a sip of my tea. Okay. King of Cups. Well, we know that the King of Cups is a compassionate leader. He's the most loving king of all. That's his come from emotional intuition, or intelligence, I should say. intuitive nature, someone that may or may not be well connected to his feminine polarity, if it is a masculine or perhaps a feminine that's well connected with her masculine side in some regard, or a water sign. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, the thing about the King of Cups is it's like he feels a lot. He feels very deeply. This can even be Scorpio energy, but certainly any water sign for sure. But to consider the Scorpio vibes, there's a depth of emotion there and psychological, what do you call it? Like, psychological, I don't know what you call it. It's so deep, what name can you really put to it? But the vibes of a Scorpion energy, they can be a bit mysterious at times, but almost magnetic and alluring in their essence. It's not even in what they say, because they feel a whole hell of a lot that you may or may not ever get to the bottom of, or even touch the surface of, depending on who you are and who they are, and whether or not you're invited in to their internal space. But there's definitely always more than what meets the eye with a Scorpio, or with a water sign in general, when you consider the essence of water. So this could be the expression of a masculine that's feeling very deeply, that may have much to express, but the flip side is that sometimes with the King of Cups, it doesn't necessarily get expressed. You may feel it, it may be projected in actions taken or not taken, again, depending on the source and the receiver. But it just depends on who they are and how they communicate, or how comfortable they are to express, as to what gets to be exchanged or released, I should say. But certainly, I mean, for sure, someone that feels deeply, but flip side of that is those feelings can be Scorpio energy, man. Like, it can run real dark and deep, and in a lower vibrational way, and in the high. It's like they have multiple polarities, because you can have dark and deep in the lowest form you could possibly think of, diabolical even to some degree, and then you could have dark and deep that's just intense. Just intense. Nothing particularly bad about it, but just raw. Raw energy, raw love. Almost could veer to the point of obsession, or definitely ones to attract obsession, or highly desirable, energy, and a lot due to the fact that they're so mysterious and in some ways even mystical to some degree, so they have this attractive, alluring quality. So I don't know who this is, but we're gonna leave them in here and just keep going, or what this energy is, or what it's expressing right now. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going and see where we at with it. I probably should have took him out since I had so much to say, but if he wants to come back out, Scorpio, they like to move on their own time, right? So we'll let him be great in the deck unless he decides to reemerge. All right, so we got the Hierophant, which is, it could be religion, it could be establishments of society, some structure. It could be a teacher, someone of high profile, or power, prowess. It could even be a collective of such. God, Lord, could you imagine a collective of Scorpio type vibes, especially in the way that I was just expressing it? So let's hope we on the higher vibration of that, right? It could also be matrimony, and then we got the Lovers card here. So to that point, it could be someone. Then we got the 10 of Wands, which is the end of a very burdensome cycle. But then we got Scorpio energy again. So you could definitely be dealing with a Scorpio, or you a Scorpio, or have Scorpio highly aspected in your chart, or just be really walking in a mysterious and mystical way, either intentionally so, or that's the experience that people may be having of you, perhaps. Or maybe there's some things that you're kind of keeping, the ending of a cycle as it is, maybe the beginning of a new one, maybe you starting a relationship, perhaps, maybe you've found your lover man, or have come across a lover in a certain way, and perhaps he wants to be secretive. Oh, I just heard elope. What? Stop. Maybe he wants to be secretive. Yeah, this is like that. Like, what? That's wild that I just heard that. Like almost dropping these burdens, like I'm hearing like, all the burdens of the formalities of coming together, meeting their parents, you meet them meeting yours, the conventions and traditions of it with the Hierophant makes total sense. Oh my gosh, so this is someone that is not particularly bound by the traditions of matrimony or union in general. Maybe you're not either, or someone that is interested. That could be the mystery, is that if there hasn't been a coming together, or there is a togetherness and there's an opportunity or an interest in moving forward or expanding this connection, there's a bit of an uncertainty or a mystery about what you both may desire or want. Like, would you as a feminine desire to just get married, maybe at the justice of peace, like the Hierophant here. This could also be like a judge at the justice of peace, or to just go, like I said, elope, go to just drop all the burdens of trying to plan some elaborate ceremony and an expensive ass reception that's for everybody else but you, really, because a lot of times couples say they don't even eat at their own reception that they spend hundreds of dollars a plate for sometimes, and then they get to their wedding night and are too tired and exhausted to even consummate the marriage, but it's like dropping the conventions of and traditions, perhaps even, of a sacred union that is no less sacred than the two people being on one accord, especially if it is to both be like, yeah, I don't need that, or yeah, you know what, I can do without that too, type of vibe, that as long as there's harmony, right? There's a stable, is a grounded understanding. It's not like one person is kind of forcing it on the other in any regard, forcing the big ceremony or forcing the simple ceremony. There's a mutual simplicity here, in the most harmonious way, to put an end to even, what's this? I keep seeing this stick out. Oh, okay. Yeah, to put it's like the ambitions of what it should look like. It's almost a pressure to some degree that we gotta have the ceremony, we gotta do it like this, we gotta invite all these people, you can't forget anybody important on your list, you gotta what else? Have the perfect dress and the elaborate flowers and most delicious cake, and the menu is, like, honestly, I've said this out loud to myself and to others, that the older that I get, first of all, I've never been the type to like plan out my entire wedding. I was never that girl. I've never been that girl to be like, yeah, I want this, I want that. I've only found inspiration in even the potential of an ideal experience from others' experiences. Like, you know what, that's really cool that they had this. I like that. I wouldn't mind having that for myself. Like different experiences I've either had or have, that I've been to or that I've heard of, But as for myself, I don't have like that ideal dream wedding, planned in my mind. And I do at the bare minimum have an ideal of the type of dress, but even that changes depending on the season for me, like the type of dress that I would want. And it's not like, extravagant and lace and this and that, it's just not that, and I don't even feel pressured to want it to be that. So that ambition and that drive to meet a certain standard of convention and tradition has never really been there for me. And the older I get, it's even less there. It's like non-existent, as a matter of fact. At some points in my life, I wasn't even sure if it was necessary to actually be married. And there's still a question mark there, not because I don't respect the sacred union of it all and the sanctity of marriage, because I absolutely do to the highest. I just also have a more expansive ideal of partnership now, that especially in perpendicular or whatever to society as it is, it's like, does the paper even really matter, except for the sorting out of legal issues, which yes, absolutely it does. But if I'm coming across we can do that contractually too without it even needing to be an actual marriage, an official marriage. So it's like a conversation perhaps, or consideration between yourself and your partner, or partners in general now at this time, to really, as the fog is clearing about everything else, why wouldn't it with that? Really breaking away from the confinement of conventional and traditional relationships in a way that's not toxic, like, I don't want to be married. It's not like you're resistant to it because of your previous impressions or any unfavorable circumstance, or any PTSD perhaps, but just because your understanding is clear that that's not what you need, just as much as it could be clear that maybe once upon a time you wanted a wedding, or you thought that that was the way, and now maybe you still want the marriage, but you don't need to have the ceremony or the reception or whatever. It could have evolved even beyond that to consider, is marriage a necessity when you have two beings that are literally united by spirit, like under God, indivisible type of energy, So yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting right there. So Hierophant, let's keep going, because my incense is halfway burnt and I ain't even got no cards on on the table. Oh, there's the ring. There's the baby. There's the new beginning. And not necessarily in that order. Or maybe in that order. Who knows, Again, on your, according to your philosophy. Yep, look at that. In the sun card, there's the baby and the happy life and prosperity that doesn't have to look a certain way to be productive or prosperous. That as long as two people are willing to work at whatever the intention or goal is, and there's an understanding. Yep, look, here's this high value queen, and the dissipation of the illusions with the Seven of Cups, knowing your worth, knowing the value that you have to offer, and knowing that, and being wise about the investments that you're making. I mean, consider, even in a practical sense, that marriage is an investment, and one with a high risk, as a matter of fact, because when you're, not to make it all bleak or whatever, but this is just the reality, that when you're bringing two individuals together, one's energy is definitely co-creative with the other. If I got bad credit, now you might have bad credit. If I got debts, now those debts become yours. Same thing on the upside, of course, is that my assets become your assets. Maybe you might be an extremely high value woman and you're mindful about merging your assets in a legal, officially legal way, a legally binding way, I should say, i.e. with the Hierophant. And it's no shade to the partnership, but just protecting the legacy that you're creating wisely, and still without, diminishing the devotion that you're willing to have to the love of your life, perhaps. And maybe somebody else has worked very hard for what they've acquired, and they have the same reservations, or the same considerations, I should say, more considerations than reservations, because this is more more positive. These are two very mature people that is, like I said, it's not like a resistance to tradition and convention because of fear. It's just wisdom and truth at this point. What truly makes sense for us to do? How can we come together in the way that, there's the love there with the King of Cups, but there's the practicality there too with the Queen of Pentacles. And if you get into it, like I said earlier, the King of Cups is one that may be more tapped into his femininity, this feminine expression of self, and the Queen of Pentacles didn't I say that too, that she may be a feminine tapped into her masculine. So that's the opposite attraction of it all, where it just makes sense naturally, so to practicalize it in a way that both are comfortable is just like, it's just the next best thing, and it's so out of the box that it can only make sense to those that are forging that agreement. So I guess I'm saying that to say not to be with the King of Swords, and there's the Queen of Cups, not to be afraid to do it your way and have it your way. Shoot. All right. Look, I almost tried to come out, but that's I'm having a hard time shuffling today. That's the Eight of Wands. Something fast happening, maybe swift changes occurring, because maybe perhaps once, particularly one or two people get over this pressure to do it a certain way, everything else can flow organically. Yeah, like look, there's the pressure, and then the Eight of Wands came out again. And this card, of all the cards, is one that somehow is starting to bend. I mean, eventually they all get worn out, right? If you know, you know. But this has been the first one that started to like do those little dog ears or whatever on the side of the cards, pretty much signifying that it's time for me to get some new cards. I need all types of cards. So really and truly, if you care to donate to the channel and you're tired of seeing these same old cards, you are most certainly welcome to advance your spiritual experience by way of donation. My Cash App is somewhere down there and on my community tab, because I posted it for my birthday and I didn't take it down. So if you're interested, certainly please do, or send in a Christmas gift by chance. I would love to buy some new cards for sure. And I'm really excited to publish my own, because I have them already drafted. I'm going to be making a prototype. This is a little exclusive in between, maybe a little ad in between. But I'm really excited about the concept. It's very simple, very on brand for me. And I have so many ideas for more that I'm looking forward to creating and bringing to life. But the first ones are going to be so exciting for me to use and manifest. And I'm excited to actually bring them to market, but I want to make sure that the creativity of it all is protected, and that I take the proper steps too, because these days people be just out here stealing, you know what I mean? They've been stealing for a long time, but it's like, it's worse than ever right now. So you can't just throw too much out there without it being protected and, with your signature stamped upon it, before somebody go and try to recreate and repurpose some stuff. But yes, in the new year, that's something you can definitely look forward to, because I'm already started on making the prototype myself, like my own deck, which will be very like crafty, hands-on, like I literally made it. But I've been looking into potential mediums for producing it, but they're so expensive from what I'm finding, that I'm like, how could you ever even put this on the market if you spent this much to create it, So even if that's a gift to me right now, that if you have a resource that you'd like to share definitely plop that in the comments below as you know, a resource for some affordable tarot card production, you know, something that would keep the card range less than $50, you know what I mean? Maybe even less than that, to be honest. Ideally, especially for my first deck, I would want it to be something like 33, maybe 44 at the very most, just to give it a, you know, a spiritual weight. But what I'm seeing right now, it's like, shoot, I would barely even be able to afford to do it for me, let alone to say, hey, buy this deck, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you got a reference, be sure to, oh, and there's the Magician card. Be sure to comment below, if you will. Strength card, which we always love to see. And then the Two of Pentacles. So yeah, oh, so I didn't even get to this, but you know, I could have kept going actually, but so the Nine of Wands is that pressure, you know what I mean? And I feel like really what it is like the release of it, quite honestly. This is like looking back at what you have done, or maybe what's even been expected of you, or what you think, what you've been absorbing is the expectation for you. It may not even necessarily be. It could be all your own projection or assumption, you know, that you feel like you're going to disappoint someone, or even maybe have a regret or remorse for not doing something a certain way, when it's like Spirit all along is trying to drag you into this space and time, like, let go of that crutch. You don't need that crutch. We go from the 9 to the 8. You can walk, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to be made whole type of vibes, like the story in the Bible? Like, would you take up your mat and walk type of thing? You know, you don't need to depend on society or family or friends or conventions to tell you how life gets to be. You have a spiritual essence that is changing all things in the realm anyway. Like I've said, nothing after this year is going to be the same. So that anything that you're still holding on to as an absolute has the tendency to completely transform, particularly with this Eight of Wands card, where there's going to be so much intensity and upgrade and shifting and new information and new ambition and inspiration, that it'll make the things of old look meaningless to some degree. You won't even have the capacity to hold on to all of what you thought it should look like, or what you should be, or it should be, or they should be, or how it should occur, and accept the invitations of the new journeys and opportunities and experiences that await you, you know, that are literally calling your name at this point. It won't be enough energy and time to do it all. And here's the Magician card, knowing exactly what of this energy to take and manifest with, to create with, and what to leave on the table, as I've been saying. Like, and here's the energy of management here. Like, what are you going to invest your time in that will bring a continuous flow of prosperity and productivity? That's what this Two of Pentacles is giving me today. And the will to withstand against anything that doesn't, particularly against even the projection of what it should be, you know, because that's harder than anything. We sometimes we have an ideal in our hearts and minds. Like, consider, I said, I've never ever been one to fantasize about my big wedding day. My inspiration has come from the outside in, and then also with the contempt of feeling like I would need or want to do it for family and friends at a certain time. I'm not really that fixated on any of that now because of where I am in life, you know, but generally I would feel like, well, I gotta have a wedding, you know. Of course, my family would want to be there. My friends would want to be in it. You know what I mean? Like, all these things that really don't have much to do with my true heart's desire, because it would be nice, and it may even happen. Like, wouldn't it be funny if I'm talking all this trash and then I end up having the biggest bash of a wedding ever? I'm open to that too. I'm not even resistant to it, but it's just like, it doesn't make or break a union for me. You know, I wouldn't be devastated if I didn't have $1 million rock on my hand and a $5 million wedding. You know what I mean? Like, it just wouldn't be a big deal to me either way. What matters most to me is that I'm with the partner that is truly the lover of my soul. And that's priceless. If I can say that that is the case, that's worth a million wedding dresses and the best venue on earth and the most beautiful destination with the freaking A-list guest list. You know what I mean? Like, it's worth all of that. I could leave all of that behind, for real. So, all right, so let's see what else we got. And we got the Magician here on the board, literally having the power to create whatever you want, have it your way. Again, as I've said, let's see what else we got. I would love to get like 2 more rows. That's way too many. But that was the Justice again with the well, that was the, yeah, like it could be the Justice of the Peace literally, but that was the Justice card. Interesting. So we got the King of Swords and we got the Queen of Wands. And then here's the Bridesmaids, and here's the Emperor. Yeah. And somebody with the Three of Wands. Like, yeah, this energy is taking a turn for me because it's feeling like somebody's manifesting you and you're not manifesting them. Didn't that just take a wild turn? Because I'm getting this over ambition here with the Emperor card, like possessive, obsessive, you know, kind of domineering energy. Now, it seemed like he already got the ceremony planned out or figuring out exactly how it should go, or just very determined about his expectations in one way, shape, or form. But it's the expression of this King of Swords who's presenting himself in the light of the sun to be an upstanding, you know, a premium choice, so to speak. But the reason why I'm tipped off that this is not an alignment per se is because the Queen of Wands is looking elsewhere. And when you have the Queen of Wands attention, it is very clear. And when you don't, it is also very clear. It's undeniable, as a matter of fact. So it's like, whereas this energy would be, you know, an upstanding, like a prime candidate, more or less, because the King of Swords is a bit emotionally detached, and it almost comes, he almost comes with the inflection that he's already been attached and unattached, like even the divorcee or the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. Well, I mean, she's not out here right now, but that's when we're talking about matrimony, you know, with the King of Swords, for me personally, that's just not my favorite masculine energy that I would want to see on the board as a potential partner. Even with the King of Cups being a little bit, you know, withholding at times, at least you know he's feeling something. He has the capacity to feel deeply and to love completely. Even if he don't pour it all out on you, at least not all at once, you know it could be there, you know, and in the highest vibration that is pure. But the King of Swords, like he's very intelligent and perhaps even very persuasive, like definitely can whisper sweet nothings in your ear and, you know, build you up communicatively, like verbally love you. You know what I mean? Like you may never feel lost for compliments per se, or, you know, everybody's love language is different. So even still with the King of Swords, you may want to be with someone that's just highly cerebral. It could be like one of those energies where it's like, what's that word? Where it's where you're in love with a person's mind. Damn, it's escaping me right now. I know you know if you know what I'm saying though. Shoot, that really sucks. I can't think of it, but it may come up. It may come back to me. But you might be that type of person where your intelligence is really what does it for you. So in that regard, you know, it would be a good vibration, but something feels a little bit like, like it's not the other way around where she's looking at him and he's just got a forward focused mind. Then that's something you could probably work with, but she's not even paying any attention. And in a minute, I'm about to see what she's looking at. And then with the Emperor coming up, almost having this expectation for a union, like, you gonna love me type of, that's what I'm getting. Like, he putting in way too much work to assure that that you gonna be his empress, but really it's not. The emperor is not on the deck, really. It's the King of Swords, so it's not even the true reflection of him. It's just the vibration that he's in, like the vibration of the emperor, but perhaps not even given what the emperor is supposed to have gave, that protection, that guidance, that stability, security, the covering, all the higher vibration energies of the emperor. It's like he's in it for a good time, pretty much. Yeah, look, this hangman that slipped up while I was looking at the 3. Yeah, no, so yeah, be mindful of that, if you've been holding out for so long for, like I said, you're not even pressed for marriage, relationship, certainly not for the glimmer and glamour. It's like the Emperor vibes with the King of Swords, and particularly even with the Magician card, is like kind of wanting to present this, like this, what can I say? What can I call it? Like almost kind of like finesse you with the glimmer and glamour. Like we could have this type of wedding and that, like all the stuff that you really don't like, literally, like you don't even want all that, so that's how you know that this is not the lover of my soul, because you're offering me things as a way to so-called catch me or captivate me, more or less, that don't even pique my interest, and definitely don't get the juices flowing, if you know what I mean. Energetically, inspirationally, or physically, It's like I'm not even into all that. And yeah, like I said, it's more valuable for me personally to want to be with someone who may even be very simple, but I know they love me with all their being, or at least all the being that they can afford to love me with, you know what I mean? And yeah, this is like the energy of the investment here. And even with the Queen of Wands looking at it like, sorry for you. Like he's somebody that is either going to be highly disappointed with all the energy that they're putting into forging, like literally almost forcing a manifestation into fruition by way of manipulation. That's what this is giving me. Yes, this is you that gets to choose and do whatever you want with what you want. But now I'm seeing this as a different vibe, with this being someone that has been disappointed by their choices, maybe not choosing the highest vibration. And now they want to come with all this rapid fire, like I said, all these big ideas, bright ideas and visions and fantastical expressions of our wedding and how I've always pictured it. And it's like, and maybe even being able to make good on those promises, although I fail to really believe that holistically, because we got the 7 of Pentacles here. And in this regard, he looks disappointed that either he didn't get the return of his advancement or proposition that he was looking for, or he isn't able to quite make good on the promises that he's making. It's just really illusionary, like this is what it just sounds good, literally, with the King of Swords. It sounds good enough to try, like somebody trying to say all the things that a so-called woman would want to hear, or even present the things that a woman would want based on the conventions and traditions as they are stigmatized, or is that the right word? Like, like what the not the stigma, but the stereotyped, as what a woman would want for her big day, or how she would want to be proposed to, a hot air balloon and all types of other bullshit. And it's like, dude, like, I'm good on that. It's going to be a no for me, dog. Thanks, but no thanks. Please don't, matter of fact, like, don't even stress yourself. Like, save it for someone else that maybe wants all of that. You know what I mean? Because it's clear that whomever this is doesn't even really know. It feels like, especially with the wounded warrior, it feels like somebody trying to like capture, what is it? What's the right word? I almost said capture, but it's, and with the emperor, it's like not dominate, but it's really first the, what's the word when you want to, not capture, but like when you want to take over a territory, you know what I mean? Like, like I can't think of the word right now. I want to say it so bad, but that's the intention, like really to like occupy the space of a person or a being for whatever the ulterior motive may be. But what it isn't is love. That's a fact. And not in this energy. The King of Cups been gone and back in the deck. And this is not that vibe. You know what I mean? This is someone that definitely has a material investment and intention of reward on the back end. For some, perhaps a Queen of Wands, their creativity, their energy, their confidence, their vitality, the vivaciousness of the Queen of Wands materializes. It's the next best thing to actual physical money, to have the energy, the inspiration, the creativity, the drive, the confidence. Like it's only a matter of time before that translates into something material. And yeah, look, this is the consorting, or what do they call it? Damn, what's that word that they use on that? It was on one of those housewives shows where they kept saying this, like, I can't think of any word. Mercury retrograde. I can't think of any of the words I want right now, but where there's like this colluding, that's what it was. This collusion of energy happening unbeknownst to whomever the object of affection may be, of something that don't even have nothing to do with her. You know what I mean? This is Three of Cups. What's this? Three of Pentacles. Yeah, and here's the finesse right here. It's a whole nother community that's looking to benefit, literally to double up on perhaps this union, maybe family that's in some collusion or consorting, or friends, you know, or whomever this person who had, you know, like I said, he been somewhere before already relationally with the King of Swords. He might have left the family or has disconnected from a situation, but there's still attachment to it in some way. He may have children, or maybe like an ex-husband that now, you know, that has to pay some alimony, or is still materially or financially attached elsewhere, and they don't really have enough to go around to suit the lifestyle that they want, and to, you know, it's like they need partnership. As a matter of fact, it's really more of a codependency and an opportunity than it actually is, you know, real love. Expressive here with the Knight of Cups, a pale comparison of the King. You know, there's somebody that's going to offer you some sweet nothings, might seduce you a little bit, you know, might act like they love you, tell you, you know, treat the romanticism of love to some degree. Once again, it kind of feels like empty nothings, because particularly for a Queen of Wands, especially not a Knight of Cups, you might have a better chance with the King of Cups, but the Knight of Cups ain't going to do much for a Queen of Wands. That's like a boy toy, like, you know, like literally, you know, because the Queen of Wands has like that Leo energy, right? Like a cat, literally a cat right here playing with a little mouse, you know what I mean? And just like tossing his ass to the side, like, I'm good on that, you know? It was fun, it was cool, but it's not going to sustain the Queen of Wands attention for the long run, you know. Now, and particularly this is someone that has the ideal to advance to this Ten of Pentacles, this unlimited wealth and resource, but it's by way of through another medium, not acquiring it for self. He's willing to be persistent and sowing into something outside of himself, which is why there's this spirit of disappointment that I'm feeling here, because if there was a persistence and a commitment to self-sowing and manifestation, then it'd be all good. But the Magician's all the way over here, and here he is down here. You know what I mean? With presenting the facade of someone that's upright and honorable and honest, but we know that really he's just wanting control and dominance. you know. So the Ten of Pentacles is a special assignment of prosperity. Not everyone can acquire that and maintain it. You know, there are many rich families in this country, so-called rich anyway, but even with that, a lot of the wealth that they project, much of it is not even liquid. You know, a lot of it is tied up in investments or properties or portfolios and things of that sort. This is like much more lucrative and tangible energy of wealth here, that you might just have just as much property as you actually do dividends and dollars in the bank. You know what I mean? Like really something to show for your prosperity here. And that's the aspiration, not so much the love, because there still ain't no cups on the board, you know. There's the Lovers peeking out. Yeah, and then it's this small offer because that's all he's been able to manifest. So he made all these, just like I said, making all these promises of what he can produce, you know, what he can come up with, value he has to bring to the table. And when it comes down to it, it's the Knight of Pentacles. And it's too little too late at this point with the ambition and the entitlement to whatever it is that, again, is outside of himself, i.e. the Lover's energy, of which he's not even really willing to contribute to. It's like he wants the benefits of a loving partnership and union, divine at that. We talking about sacred union here, you know, all the benefits of it energetically and even particularly materially, but he's literally going in another direction, some other fierce direction. And look at this. Yeah, no. And maybe even with the intention to cause disruption, to get it, this is even more diabolical, with the intention to get in there, present himself again as what? The King of Swords, to be this ideal partner, only to end up destroying yet another union, maybe perhaps from what he's already come away from, or this is that energy that he's walked away from, some tower that's been blown up, and now he's trying to find his way back to peace and harmony. But you see, he's still pointed this way because there's still some unfinished business here that he couldn't leave behind if he tried. The tower is literally still burning, and he's no matter how many ways he may try to reroute himself energetically, physically, mentally, even spiritually, there's still something to be accounted for with his past or where he left. And that means that even if he did somehow win your interest in some way, shape, or form, that whatever it is that he's leaving behind, as I said in the beginning, now his baggage, his debts, his drama, his trauma becomes yours. And then this doesn't stay a lover's card. You can't stay in a lover's vitality or vibrancy with all of this energy in tow. It's just no way. You become demoted real quick to more of a devil energy card, or this, exactly, like the Five of Pentacles, like just everything you've worked for in spirit and in truth, depreciating in value, and even what you have not really even holding much worth anymore, because you may even be depressed or feeling like you got yourself into something more than what you bargained for, and that what you were promised isn't exactly what, it's like what you bought and what you got type of, like what you ordered and what you got type of energy, it's not going to match up. Facts. Okay, like it's not. Judgment card, Emperor back out again, and here's this back on the top. Yeah, like it's not that. This ain't that. Not in this regard. I don't have nothing against the Knight of Pentacles on his own, but under the Magician and in the energy that we're speaking of, like, it's given projection, literally trying to magnify something very small to be what it's not. And it really is given this altogether, because if you accept that thinking that it's this, everything is going to go down the toilet, literally. That's what you're on your way to. Straight into the top. It's like no matter where he goes, when he was on the King of Swords, he had to go right. It's like somebody has karma. That's what it is, and that's the Eight of Wands. it's like unfinished business and karma to be completed or to release in some way, shape, or form. And instead of them trying to face the music and really like clear a cycle, you know what I mean? Like sew it up, clean it up, burn it down, whatever needs to happen. Somebody is trying to avoid the inevitable of what they need to release or be released from in order to have any chance at forward movement. It's like I'm seeing one of those, it's like a bad dream. Ooh, this is bad. I don't even like what I just felt. But it's like one of those dreams where you're trying to find the exit, or you're trying to even wake up, but it really feels like this. Like I've had dreams like this where you're trying to find the exit, or just trying to get to a place, but every time you're on your way, it seems like you keep coming back to square one. Like you somehow, no matter how far it seems you've traveled, somehow you end up right back on that path of where you're trying to get away from, or back at the destination you were trying to run away from. That's this energy. It's like he's trying to wake up from a nightmare of a bad decision. And I say bad because of what has what has materialized of it. You know, everything is a lesson if you see it that way. But the issue here is this is someone that's not willing to take accountability and responsibility for their creativity in this experience. They just want to offset the energetic pressure to someone else or in something else that can help relieve them in some way, shape, or form. You know, they can almost hide their trauma in some other relationship, and in the meantime, soak up someone else's light, literally soak up the rays of someone else's sun to minimize the agony and despair of the dark night of the soul that they have yet to face. It's like you cannot avoid the dark night of the soul. Everyone has to, okay? You can't force your way out of it. You can't pay your way out of it. You can't boss your way out of it. You can't finesse your way out of it. You can't control your way out of it. No matter what, you will always have to face that dark night, that being you, and all the things. Yeah, look, trying to get right to that, but it's not happening like that. You got to face the things that you've created, the things that you have yet to confront and clear. And it's all for your highest good to bring you to a space of the emperor or the empress where you are in autonomy with your energetic force, and you can be proactive and protective of self and even have value to add to others, let alone a kingdom or other kingdoms. But you don't get to skip steps, and you definitely don't get to get it on the backs of others and think it's going to last for a long time, because eventually it has to come crashing down. The universe won't have it any other way. It may take a long time to come back around. Like I said, in that dream where it's like going through doors and each one keeps leading back to where you start. Like, oh God, I hate even feeling that shit. Okay. Wow. That's where somebody is right now. Talk about the sunken place. But it's all their own doing, all on account of things that they have invested themselves in willingly, intentionally, more or less with poor intentions, malintent. And it's like you have to reconcile or reckon with that energy. You have to confront it. You have to resolve it. You don't get to leave it behind while the tower's still burning and you go skip off into the sunshine. Yeah, somebody trying to look from a distance at what? Look from a distance, try to stay distant from the contracts and commitments that are still pending, still open, as a matter of fact. He probably still owing on these contracts that he's aligned, dark contracts at that he's aligned himself with, not really having the money to pay what he owes, and perhaps that's why he's going off to try to find this higher vitality with another energetic force or source, literally, because he don't have it to give. the devil energy, whatever he's aligned himself with, not actually the devil per se, but perhaps in some physical expression, but it's just really lower vibrational energies that he's committed himself to, that he owes a debt to, and he don't have it to pay. He ain't got it. Like, he ain't got it. And whomever he trying to get it from, i.e. the star, is like, no, my brother, you got to get your own. Y'all remember that? You might be too young, from House Party, with the infomercial with the record, and he's like, oh, where'd you get that, man? It's like an infomercial that's playing inside of the movie, and he's like, oh, no, my brother, you've got to get your own. That's the energy here. Like, I'm not jumping into that ship with that sinking ship and that burning building. No way, Jose. No way. Ain't no heartstrings to be tugged here. There ain't no cups come out in the feminine vibration. That means, like I said before, this is a feminine, maybe even perhaps you, that is well grounded in her masculine energy. Not to say she's hard or unfeminine, or you know what I mean, like not compassionate or anything like that, but it's just knowing when to turn it on and off, and being very clear that in a situation such as this, it's a no. You know what I mean? It's an off switch at this time, that you can't be tugged on the heartstrings to sympathize and empathize. Well, you remember when you didn't have it, and that, like, yeah, I do. And I thank God that I was led to my healing in my moments of despair to find my way through that dark. I had to make my way through the dark night of the soul too. You know what I mean? And I didn't have no viable support through that. Nobody that could understand. Even if you may have been surrounded by people, particularly those that have been on a certain mission, i.e. to their star energy, and we're talking about in the spiritual sense, not celebrity, but on their way to healing and wholeness, and wanting the intention of fulfilling your life's purpose. You could have been surrounded by hella family and friends that you never even felt like you could clearly express your visions to, and that would really understand where you're coming from, which is what has led a lot of divine beings to solitude in some spiritual way or another, or physical way actually, or another, because you needed to go within and to be in a sacred space that was sound enough and safe enough for you to kind of cultivate your own philosophies, and for spirit to really like almost work on you through that darkness of you're seeing a light at the tunnel, but you don't know quite what it is. And you're not even quite sure you're on the right path to get there. It seems like a linear direction, but like I said, you open one door, you end up at another. You still see that light, but somehow the farther you go, the further you feel away from it. It's like, it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird place to be when you're going through that dark night and finding your place, finding your space to security, spiritual security. And everybody gets to do it. And those of us that try to like pad the journey or even manipulate the journey, like we pad it in a more innocent sense, like not in such a harmful intention where we just want people to go with us. We want company. We don't want to be alone. We want to bring all our friends, all our family, we want our boyfriend there, our girlfriend. It's like you don't want to be alone, because that's just not how we're designed or conditioned to be in this world. Yet it's like, even with the story in the Bible with what was that, Abraham, when God told Abraham to leave his father's house to a land that he would show him. And God didn't tell him to take all that he took, but he packed up the whole family, the cousins, like the animals. He had everything. Nobody told him to take all that. And the farther along he got in his journey, the more contention there was between all of the things and people that perhaps were never really meant to go on that leg of the journey with him, to the point where he eventually had to part ways. That's what it comes down for us all, spiritually and truthfully, at some point in time. Even if you do find yourself still enveloped in the family way, or still holding on to friends, there almost always is some disconnection from who you used to be in the transition to who you're becoming, because a lot of times there's not a synergy in that transition, for those things, or there's a placement maybe perhaps on the other side, but the journey to your healing is very singular. It's solo, and the more you try to take, the more burden with that Ten of Wands, the more baggage it feels like it is on your back, until eventually you just got to let it go. So anyway, this is that energy, as I said, once again, that's trying to avoid that journey, that maybe perhaps hasn't wanted to be, is that how I want to say it? I guess hasn't wanted to be alone, face his own solitude, maybe afraid of the dark a lot of bit to some degree, afraid of what he's going, that Scorpio energy, afraid of what he's going to find in his psyche, and those deep dark waters that he's yet to have navigated really and truly, or maybe afraid of what he has found and what that truly is going to mean for him projectively, to have to be with that energy all on his own and find his way up out of it. Like there's that for everyone. And if you're not a yes to the journey, passenger of one, a single ticket, that it perhaps is one way, it is not guaranteed to be a return flight or return ticket. Like, you got to just go take that one-way trip first and see where spirit leads you, and then it's decided as to how you may get to reconcile or backtrack, if at all, because most of the time it's not that. And that's the scary part of it, is that, like, even with the dream that I keep bringing up, I don't know why, but you have to keep going forward. There's no backtracking to be done. Like, everything behind you is null and void at this point in time. You got to keep moving ahead. But what happens when every which way you turn to move ahead seems to be a sidestep, or a secret passageway, or a secret door, or a trap door, God forbid, you know what I mean? The good thing is that when you're a yes to the journey, it's much less diabolical than trap doors, but when you're a yes, you have to be open and willing to release that obsession of control over how you get there. You know what I mean? With that Emperor card, somebody has an idea of exactly what to expect. Like, they want to heal, but they want to do it on their terms. Like, no, I'm only going to do it this way. No, it don't work like that. And no, I'm sorry. If everybody could choose exactly as a matter of fact, that's the reason for the delay of many of us getting to this place of sunshines, gumdrops, and lollipops in our own ideal mind, because we want to control every step of the way. And it's just we get there faster by releasing our desire, more so our insistence on controlling every single aspect of the trip, every single trail of the journey. It's just not to be controlled that way, because the spirit, your highest self, your supreme self, or the supreme source that you submit to and that is inviting you to be in co-creativity with it, knows better than what your physical eyes can see, and certainly better than what you've been able to choose for yourself at this point in time. And not to take anybody's ordered path away from them, because even the worst of it can be transformed and transferred into something positive, but it still is on account of you being submissive to even that transition. You can't keep trying to make something that wasn't working in the past season absolutely work in this season. That is insanity. which is an inflection of the Nine of Wands, where there can be some mental imbalance there, and sometimes we projected, we inflicted upon ourselves just on our refusal to move forward. As much as the Spirit is drawing and calling you forward, someone that still wants to look back with disdain and regret for missteps. Not thinking, like, dang, I wish if I had done this, it would have turned. This is more so somebody that just wish they would have done the worst better. That's this energy here. And that's why it's those doors keep leading to this dark night. Like, no, you're going to get this lesson, or you're going to be transitioned. We did have the death card come out, didn't we? Like, you either going to transform or transition, and it ain't no other choice otherwise. The only other alternative is in refusal to transform, and the healing vibration is to almost literally be like the Walking Dead. Like, you'll be breathing, you'll be walking around, you'll be alive, so to speak, but your soul will be lost. That's a scary ass dream. No sir, no ma'am. So here's the independence here. That's the call for the journey, and it's in the feminine aspect, whether it be a masculine or feminine, that's being invited to it, because the feminine is the more receptive energy, right? The one that is willing to receive direction, to receive the healing, to receive even correction, dare I say, which we all love to hate, but correction, to course correct your path from where you thought you were going or where you thought was best to where it is a more viable trajectory, to really be satisfied in what you acquire, not just working your fingers to the bone to be disappointed. That's what I'm saying. Like, even with breath in your body and spirit is still guiding you, even in what feels like chastisement or correction, there still is hope for, it's only going to lead you to ultimately this, if you're in a surrender and submissive spirit of it all. If you're resistant, you have the right to stay right where you are, to continue to be, wandering around dark corridors of the earth realm, But if the Spirit is pointing you in a different direction, it's only for the purposes of ultimately, in one way, shape, or form, leading you to this place of independence, fulfillment in the spiritual and material sense, security, stability, in some way, shape, or form, or in every way, shape, and form, autonomy, to be aware and responsible with your own energy, and open posture to the co-creativity of the spirit that you submit, or at least the higher self that you submit and surrender to. This is someone that has room for improvement, but certainly, room for advancement, I should say, but certainly has improved a great deal from, say, the Five of Pentacles. There's only 3 pentacles, but that's a great jump, or 4, I'm sorry, but that's a great jump. And what's the difference between that is the Four of Pentacles, where somebody's still trying to hold on to everything that they think matters in this life and not wanting to release anything or let anything go for the possibility of more. That's the disparity between these two energies. So the choice is everyone's. The choice is yours. The choice is mine. The choice is ours. Why was that so hard to get out? The choice is ours. Like, we underestimate the true power of our ability to choose, and we forfeit our will to other vibrations, such as the lower frequencies that pronounce themselves perhaps in a devil energy form in some way, shape, or form. That's where we sacrifice that will, and that power. We sacrifice it to that energy to only be consumed by our primal sensations, But we're always being called to higher nonetheless. Even in the worst of state, this could be somebody literally roaming the streets as a vagrant, like muttering to themselves all the while. Spirit is still calling, but it just gets harder to hear when you've allowed yourself to be consumed in that way, when you've had opportunities to liberate yourself. You've always had it. That's one thing you won't say about spirit, is that it won't show you a door. It's up to you to keep following that door till it leads you to the light. But somewhere along the way, like as in that dream, some people decide, you know what, I'm gonna make my home right here and make the best of it. They don't want to follow the light anymore. It's too hard, it's too long, it's too strenuous, it's taking too much out of them. All the while, the call is still there. So I pray for all those that are finding themselves in a space of darkness, particularly emotionally or energetically this season, and that there is some light to be found or connected to justifiably. I can't speak for, the karmic balances of the earth as they are, playing out right now. I'm trying to say it diplomatically, but I don't really know how to. It's like, my best prayers can't counteract or supersede what is just in cosmic order or universal ordinance right now for those to just reconcile with the life that they've created, and to take the chance, the opportunity to do something different at this point. My best prayers can't change that. But for sure, I do pray for the highest perspective and perception of the presence, so that anyone that is feeling particularly hopeless or in despair will have the strength and the will to continue to walk through those doors that are presented by Source, by Supreme Self, and will have the strength to follow that journey until it ultimately leads them out to wherever the sun does shine. Really and truly, that is my prayer. I do mean that wholeheartedly. So, and for the rest of us, I pray that we just continue to live in the light, because but for the grace of God, there go I. And if you found your way into the sunshine, particularly from a dark night of the soul, it'll only take one good back step to lead you back into the darkness. So I pray that you continue to have the fortitude to move ahead in life and keep on living in the vibration of love as you've been divinely called to do so. All right, so with that being said, I'll definitely send a lot of love and peace and healing and harmony out to all that are willing and open to receive it. And please do share it wherever you go, because we could never do enough of that, especially right now. All right. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.